This video is going to be on Lesson 6 and Lesson 7, which is adding and subtracting linear expressions. So if you can open your handout to this problem. And what I'd like you to notice here is that in this problem, we really are just adding together two different expressions. And they're separating the expressions with parentheses. So this is just saying add 9x plus 7 to x plus 3. A lot of times when kids see parentheses, they immediately think distributive property. But if you notice, there's no number or coefficient outside of these parentheses to distribute. So this really is not a distributive property problem. So one way to think about that is you can just simply underline like terms. 9x plus x and 7 plus 3. Another way to think about this is a lot of students have had luck in the past with lining up these expressions. So 9x plus 7, and we're going to add it to x plus 3, and we line them up in such a way so that the like terms are already lined up. So if you look at this, 7 plus 3 is 10, 9x plus 1x is 10x, and then we're done. So if we did the same thing over here, we have negative 4x plus 6, and I wrote that on top, and we are adding that to x minus 5. Okay, so we're adding. So if you look at this, 6 minus 5 is 1, negative 3x plus 1x is negative 3x, and there's our solution. Okay, so there's a good little mini lesson on adding and subtracting those. If you look at number 17, a rectangle has side lengths of 3x plus 6 and 2x minus 4. So what I'd like you to do is actually sketch it. So rectangle looks like this. If the side lengths are 3x plus 6 and 2x minus 4, we're going to put those in. And it says write an expression to represent the perimeter. Well, perimeter means the distance all the way around, adding up all four sides. Well, right now we only have two sides listed. So remember, the definition of a rectangle is that opposite sides are the same length. So we're going to fill all these in, and then you're going to add all these up. Okay, please turn to the next page for subtracting. And I already wrote on this first one, so the first problem looks like this: 9x plus 7 minus x plus 3. So here's our first problem. You can do it in a couple of ways. If you wanted to, you can line these up, 9x plus 7 and x plus 3. But now, instead of adding them together, we are subtracting them. So that means we are subtracting this whole thing. Remember, subtraction means adding the opposite. So that really means that we are adding a negative x and we are adding a negative 3. Because we're subtracting this whole thing, this subtraction sign is being applied to every part. So 7 minus 3, or 7 plus negative 3 is 4. And 9x minus x is 8x. Here's our solution. Okay, another way to look at this is notice that we really have a 1 outside of here. There's an unwritten 1. So this really means, remember, whenever we subtract, we add the opposite. So in other words, we have to distribute negative 1 to everything inside these parentheses. So we're left with 9x plus 7, but when we distribute, negative 1 times x is negative x, and negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And when you locate like terms, notice you get the exact same thing over here. 9x plus negative x is 8x. And 7 plus negative 3 is 4. Okay, so let's look at number 2 in your worksheet. Number 2 looks like this. Okay, so let's rewrite this by distributing this negative sign. So we're going to add the opposite. And when we say opposite, everything inside the parentheses has to become opposite. So we are adding a negative x, and we are adding, what is the opposite of this? Well, notice that this is already a negative 5. So when we add the opposite, it's becoming a positive 5. Okay, so we get 3x minus 4, and it was x minus 5 that we are subtracting. So everything becomes opposite. We get a negative x, and we get a positive 5. So negative 4 plus positive 5 is a 1. And 3x plus plus negative x is 2x. Let's try another one because I'm not sure that really helped us. So we're going to subtract all of this. So everything has to be adding the opposite. So we add the opposite. We add the opposite. Okay. Now if we underline like terms, negative 3x, positive 3x is 0x. Well, instead of writing 0x, that's the same as 0, so that's all gone. 15 plus negative 2 is 13, and that's our answer. Okay, so then continue on with that, working on both worksheets. Thank you.